I want to just make this a tribute to my years at CU Boulder. Of course, if I would have prepared, there would have been a keg of PBR right here, and maybe a 4-foot bong or something like that. But we're,
right,
getting older, can't do those things anymore.
Right, you're pushing 40. Let's do this.
Go. I was walking in the park one day, in the very merry month of May.
We just finished Firewatch, the longest game in the history of the world, clocking in at 4 hours.
It took me about 4 hours.
Did it take you around 4 hours?
Yep.
It's a good game.
I enjoyed it quite a bit. I mean, right off the bat, I was all for it.
Mm-hmm.
At the beginning, when you there'll be spoilers.
Spoilers.
The text situations, and you make a choice of like what you say.
Yeah.
Right away, I was drawn to this game because it takes place in Boulder, Colorado, which is where I went to school.
Oh, I see. Yeah, that's
That is a golden
that's
buffalo.
convenient.
That is a golden buffalo.
Yeah.
Well, I was not there in 1975, like the game started.
Mm-hmm.
It was still cool. Like they mentioned things like the bar at the end of the Pearl Street Mall, which is, if you've never been to Boulder, is a walking mall.
Mm-hmm.
There's a couple taverns. I think there was one brewery back when I was there, which was a while ago. The beginning of the game was accentuated for me because I just had memories popping the whole time.
Yeah.
There, times where you're walking your dog on, like the paths along the river, the Boulder River, and there in Boulder, and I used to take my dog walking there 5, 6, sometimes 7 days a week.
Yeah, it's great too because the creators, the two guys that started the company, were really good friends, and they actually did the whole thing based off living there originally. It's interesting because they spent a lot of time over the past couple of weeks with some various podcasts, and we got to listen to them talk about that experience of going back to the area that they were in and just exploring that space and creating this whole world around their childhood. I thought the beginning was completely different than anything that I've seen in a long time. Like straight up just like text adventure for the first, I'd say, 15 minutes?
About that, you had little, it was spliced in with you getting, going to your Jeep to leave Boulder, and then you arriving there in Wyoming at the trailhead to get to your Firewatch cabin. I thought it was a really well-paced opening.
Well, I thought it was interesting because of how much empathy I got from the character immediately based off sentences. I mean, specifically within the video game realm, like the text adventure hasn't been in its prime for some time now.
I mean, my mom really enjoyed those on our TI-82.
TI-82.
Back when we lived in Indianapolis, she'd love those text adventures. But I was 5, so I was more into Space Invaders. But that was me.
But it was cool because I don't know that I've ever played a game where it opens up with that, and immediately you get to empathize with the character and break into this world where you meet these characters that are meeting for the first time.
Hello? Whoever this is?
It's Henry, right?
Yeah.
I'm Delilah.
Yeah, that's what the guy said on the phone.
So, what's wrong with you?
Excuse me?
And what's interesting about the game, too, is that the game doesn't take the first-person perspective like most do with regards to people speaking to you. Usually, like in a Call of Duty or something like that, you'll have a character that is telling you about the environment you're in.
I don't want to die!
He's dead. Who's next? Everybody on the elevator.
Whereas within this game, the main character is telling the other where they are and what's going on.
What do you know? People with shitty manners drink shitty beer.
What, you don't like a cold Musqua Light on a hot day?
No, I do. But then again, I didn't say my manners were any good. Better than these fucking litter bugs, though, that's for sure.
Right. Once you get into Wyoming and you've got the walkie-talkie and all that.
Yeah, so, cool game. What'd you think of it? Was it a game?
I mean, it wasn't a game and how we're used to playing games.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a first-person game. It's definitely not a first-person shooter.
I was really hoping there would be a pistol somewhere. Honestly.
At least a flare gun.
There's something.
You know?
There's just something about shooting things.
Although maybe a flare gun's not the best idea when
Right.
you're in the middle of a dry forest that might just combust.
You've got a front row seat for what might be the biggest fire of the year.
So maybe a flare gun,
Right.
probably best not to have those. Well, people would call it a walking simulator.
Well, the derogatory term for these kind of new games, like Going Home, is the walking simulator.
I have nothing really derogatory to say about this game. Like, it's story-based, so it's more of a narrative-driven game as opposed to, you know, you have to go and kill this person or, you know, infiltrate this base, blah, blah, blah. Although you do have tasks that you're supposed to do, you know, but they're more everyday.
Good morning, Henry. Well, I guess good afternoon. You probably slept like a rock.
The mechanics don't lend themselves to really a game at all. It's really kind of a new frontier for games in general. And what was nice about it was that didn't really bug me because the narrative was so strong. This is probably one of the most well-written short pieces in games in the past 5 years. Like, I have no problem saying that because both characters were both engaged at a level that, and a subtlety with their performance that was beyond the vast majority of any title that I've seen in a while.
Look, so a couple of months before I took this job, I was with this guy, Javier.
I mean, occasionally titles do touch upon moments that are genuine, but I think it's been one of the biggest barriers that this whole entertainment industry, this whole video game realm has had a hard time getting into.
We dated for almost 5 years. I was working with the Wyoming Outdoor Leadership School, and I was obsessed with it.
And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that there's not that personal touch that you had back in the 80s, or even with film. When you're writing a picture, you're doing it with at least one or two other people when it starts out. Whereas these productions like Assassin's Creed or, you know, whatever major title you want to have, they have a whole team of writers, and they're trying to appeal to a broader audience. And what was really great about this was it wasn't about appealing to anybody except the writer's own interest.
Then, Javier's brother got killed working in Gillette, and for some reason, I didn't come home.
And that really shows through because you get a lot of character and a lot of subtlety in the performances and in the dialogue itself that you wouldn't typically get in a mass-produced, big, huge game that's trying to appeal to everybody and not piss everybody off. You know,
Because they're trying to
they're
make
trying
as much money
to make
as possible.
they're trying to make a title for an audience. Where I really felt that this title was trying to make a title for the people that were involved, that wanted to play that title.
Javier said it was fine. He'd go to the funeral, take care of his mom, stuff like that. It'd be easier solo. When he came back, he left me. I came out here, I lied, and told my sister he fucked our neighbor. I've just lied about it for over 10 years. And, for some reason, I wanted you to know.
It felt like like an independent film.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Where
no, totally.
you know you have a smaller budget, you get stories that are usually smaller in scope. They tend to be more personal.
Yeah.
You're going to reach a smaller audience.
Yeah.
But you know they're compelling stories. It's like they're making it not too, like you were saying, not to, you know, to make, you know, set records for you know how much money they make opening weekend or whatever, you know, or the first Tuesday when the game comes out.
Yeah, the guys that started the studio that made this, they up and quit where they were at. They did the original Walking Dead season 1.
I found the bastard!
Are we going to die?
Oh, with Telltale.
Yeah, and they wrote that, and obviously that's one of the well-known titles for its writing and its subtlety, and it shows in this new title. But they up and quit this major studio where they had been there 8 years and went on to just see if they could get this project done. So there was a lot of faith put in their ability, and that paid off. It was a risk that definitely paid off. Basically, the crux of the story essentially leads us down all these conspiratorial paths that you would associate with being in the woods alone for a very long time.
What? It's... Holy shit.
Let me get this straight. You found a clipboard with, what, transcripts of our conversations? What else is on it?
I don't know. It's gone, along with the radio of theirs. Somebody out here could have just killed me, Delilah.
That the main character experiences. And
You come across this area of the woods that is all fenced in. There's some sort of scientific experiment going on there.
All right, I'm here. Looks like goddamn Area 51.
Maybe they've got aliens. That'd be exciting.
Yeah, we'll see about that.
Right away, the mind reels. Like,
yeah,
we read and watch plenty of conspiracy theory stuff.
We
so,
do.
like, you know, the mind was just like, oh man, is this like... We've come across XCOM.
Hello, Commander. In light of the recent extraterrestrial incursion, this Council of Nations has convened to approve the activation of the XCOM project.
We found XCOM in the woods.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, there are a number of different conspiratorial paths that this title chooses to take, and for good or bad. And it does this by means of I guess providing a context for being in the woods for as long as you have been. I mean, or as long as this character has been. They're in there for quite a while, and when you do get alone in the woods, I can imagine your mind would tend to wander after a bit.
Why would you think I know what the hell is going on? I snuck out in the middle of the night and figured out how to get you a new, untapped radio because what, I'm fucking with you? The most important thing, Henry, is that we don't turn on each other.
Maybe you're working for the government, and this whole thing is some sort of a program that you're part of.
You're insane.
Tell me you're not.
The main character, you know, who you play, has just had this, you know, huge emotionally traumatic event with his wife having early onset dementia. She's Australian. Her parents come and pick her up, take her back to Australia, and instead of going there, you go off into the woods in Wyoming to escape
reality.
Yeah, exactly. And as experienced gamers, you know, you got to think, okay, there's more than going on, more to this game than walking in the woods.
Yeah.
Because even though I don't live in Colorado anymore, I can walk in trees.
Yeah, I can do that.
There's some trees about 200 feet that way.
Yeah.
You know, so
yeah,
you're expecting some sort of spectacle.
Okay. Shit. Got a map here that confirms they're tracking our people's movements.
And you get it. And what I guess the biggest point of contention for me, plot-wise, is this story plays out more like a film to me, like an interactive film, like a first-person I know it's crazy to say that because there's not a lot of POV movies, but it plays out like a film. And one of the things you don't do in movies is put a bunch of red herrings in there to make your plot interesting or to keep it going, because it takes away from the payoff of the film. Typically with movies like The Sixth Sense, like the reason that movie is so good, can't speak for all of his movies, but the reason that particular movie is so good, M. Night Shyamalan ones, is because he gives you every opportunity, both visually and script-wise, to figure out what's going on before the twist actually happens, before the turning point occurs, and suddenly you're in this whole new world.
Similarly, like Fight Club.
Right.
All of the proof is there.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember seeing that movie the first time in the theater,
Mm-hmm.
both movies in the theater, and it got to the end, and it was just like...
Yeah. And that's the only thing that I have to say about this is plot-wise, because it doesn't play into the game realm as near as much as it does a scripted film-like format, it breaks a lot of rules, and I don't feel like putting a bunch of red herrings in there to tease the audience without the option of having a different ending be available, because it is a game, a branching path game, would have been probably the better way to go.
I think that it would have been interesting to have multiple, story paths.
Yeah.
Because like other story-driven games, which, although much higher budget, like the Quantic Dream games, like Hard Rain, or Heavy Rain, excuse me. Hard Rain is a Bob Dylan song. Heavy Rain and Beyond Two Souls. And you got multiple endings in those. Now, while they had huge, much larger
and everyone on those games, everyone ever bitched about was, well, that didn't make any sense. Yeah, that didn't make any sense. And the thing is here, you got multiple endings, multiple paths. There needs to be a leap in. And you're not going to see everything that occurred between those two scenes, just like you would in a film.
Mm-hmm.
Those games operate the same way. You're not going to see every detail, so there has to be a leap of faith between every cut.
Aiden, look, I told you that... Crap.
And with this game, it has its ending. I like its ending, but there's a small group of people out there on the forums and whatnot that are disappointed because it didn't have... it didn't lead into some of the conspiracies, or it didn't pay off for some of the conspiracies that it fed into, because they were so well written.
And it was all the, a lot of the conspiratorial stuff that was set up. People would think it was something bigger to take,
right,
to lead you, the main character, and then also the person that you're in contact with on your radio, to look much larger than what was actually going on.
I found their main monitoring desk.
You should get out before they come back.
I mean, this stuff looks like it just got lifted out of the space shuttle.
I have to tell you, if I found out this was NASA, I'd be a hell of a lot happier.
Yeah, and that's totally fine, and it works well. It's just, we could have had,
Part of me wishes they would have found XCOM in the woods.
No, it's not that I would ever want that ending to go away, because the ending was great, because you don't even, you just kind of left where you were. But somehow things are better with the main character, and I liked that.
Oh, I'll have to figure out what I'm doing every summer from now on that isn't this.
You're not coming back?
No. And you'll have to... I don't know.
Yeah, me neither. I don't know what's next.
Tell you what, why don't you choose for me, and I'll choose for you.
All right, sure. Maybe...
You feel like you've been through something and you can feel better about it. And that means the ending worked. For me, some people were disappointed because they didn't get an emotional
I thought
payoff.
it was really satisfying. I played it all through in one sitting on a Friday night, and I felt like I interacted with a really good indie flick.
Yeah.
One thing about the ending that I liked, and this goes back to what you were talking about, like with subtlety of the story and the nuances, that you have the option of asking the woman in the other tower to come back to Boulder with you. And I didn't play through all the dialogue trees or whatever, but she says no, basically no.
Yeah.
You need to go back out. You need to go see your wife. Like, she's not the
Well,
she's not the solution to your problem.
I took it as like there was he said but that means he was ready to go back to something new, something different.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, he had graduated. Whereas with that character, she was always going to be like that. She had been like that for 10 years. And she was going to continue to be like that.
Because she had been out there for 10 years.
Yeah, she's an escape artist. And essentially...
You get little bits of that with like different relationships that
right.
she has and escaping those and all
right,
that.
so basically you have this main character who didn't want to be hurt anymore and escaped. And by the end of it, given the experience that he had, was willing to get hurt again. With that question being asked.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas you had another character who was never going to ask that question of themselves again. Like, no, this is where we're staying.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that was a great ending for what it was. Even though I love conspiracy and everything should be a conspiracy, but
and it is.
but again, like I mean, like if they were, I don't think I would like to see a different ending. I would have liked to have seen multiple endings with that conspiratorial route. Of course, that would have tripled their production time. I understand why it didn't happen, but again, bravo, make another game. Don't split your team like a bunch of losers. Stick it out. Do another one.
Yeah, please do.